I was 6 when the storm hit. The thunder was so loud, it felt like the world was cracking open. I remember clutching my twin sister's hand, Miley's, as a social worker shouted something about space in the car, but when I blinked, her hand was gone. And when the car door slammed, she was inside, I was outside. That's the last time I saw her. They said the family could only take one. They chose her. I grew up in foster homes that smelled like bleach and cheap ramen, where names changed faster than seasons. Nobody remembered birthdays. Nobody cared if you cried. I learned early that pain doesn't make noise. It hardens. Every night, I'd whisper her name, Miley, wondering if she ever whispered mine back. Years later, I saw her on a billboard in New York. Miley Henderson, the adopted daughter of one of America's wealthiest families, smiling in a designer dress for a charity gala. Same face as mine, just polished, pampered, perfect. I was working double shifts at a diner when I saw it. Grease on my uniform, tips barely covering rent. But her smile felt like a slap. That's when I decided, if the world handed her everything, I'd take back what was stolen. So I did what I had to do. I studied, worked nights, took loans I couldn't afford, slept 3 hours a day. Then I built something no one expected, a startup that became an empire. By 26, I wasn't Lily, the forgotten twin. I was Lily Carter, CEO of Novatech Global, worth billions. And the Henderson family? They were drowning. Their companies were failing, their debt skyrocketing. Perfect Miley's world was cracking. And I was the earthquake. When the acquisition papers were ready, I made one condition. All Henderson staff must reapply under Novatech, including her. She didn't recognize me when she walked into my office. Same brown eyes, same birthmark near the collarbone, but I wore power now, not pain. Ms. Carter, she said softly, clutching her resume, it's an honor. I looked up, pretending to scan her file. Remind me, Miss Henderson, why do you want to work here? She smiled, nervous. I need a fresh start. My family business collapsed. I thought maybe I could learn from you. A fresh start. Cute. If only she knew she was walking straight into my revenge. So I hired her as my executive assistant. Everyone in the office whispered about the resemblance. You two could be twins, one intern joked. I laughed it off. She did too, completely unaware. At first, it was satisfying, watching her carry my coffee, schedule my meetings, address me as, ma'am. The twin they kept got to serve the twin they threw away. Poetic justice, right? Except revenge has a cruel sense of humor. The more time I spent with her, the harder it got to hate her. She was kind, clumsy, honest in ways I'd forgotten how to be. She'd stay late, organize my files, even bring me coffee the way I liked it. Extra shot, no sugar. She said she'd learned it from her sister when she was a kid. My hand froze on the mug the first time she said it. What happened to her? I asked, voice barely steady. She died in a storm when we were 6. A tiny pause. At least, that's what they told me. I almost told her the truth, right there. But power tastes too good when you've starved for it. So I said nothing. Weeks turned into months. She started trusting me, telling me about her guilt, her loneliness, her nightmares. Every word twisted the knife in my chest. The Henderson parents called me once, begging for a meeting. They needed investors. They had no idea I was the one who bought their debt. So I invited them to my penthouse. When they arrived, Miley was pouring champagne, smiling politely. Her mother's eyes widened when she saw me. You look familiar. I smiled. Genetics are funny that way. They asked for help, money, a second chance. I agreed on one condition. They'd sign a long-term service contract with Novatech. They'd work for me. I watched their hands shake as they signed. When they left, Miley turned to me confused. "You're helping them? Even after what happened to their company?" I stared at her. "Everyone deserves a second chance. Don't you think?" She nodded. "You're a good person, Miss Carter. If only she knew." But then came the twist I didn't see coming. One night, while she was organizing old files in my office, she found a box, photos, letters, and a hospital bracelet with our shared birth date. When I came back from a meeting, her face was white. She held the bracelet like it was burning her hand. "Who are you?" The air cracked between us. I could have lied, should have lied, but something in her eyes, that same pain I'd carried for years, broke me. "I'm the one they left," I whispered. Silence. Then she laughed. A shaky, broken sound. "No, that's impossible." I stepped closer. "Check the scar behind your ear. We both have it." She did. Her hand trembled. Her knees buckled, and she sat down, staring at me like she was seeing a ghost. "You hate me," she said quietly. "I wanted to," I admitted, "for a long time." Tears slipped down her face. I didn't know. I wanted to believe her. God, I did, but truth doesn't erase the years I starved, the nights I screamed her name into nothing. So I said the words I'd rehearsed 1,000 times in my head. "You lived my life. I survived yours. Now we're even." I turned away, but her voice stopped me. "Lily, please don't do this." I looked back. I already did. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying her face. The shock, the guilt, the way her voice cracked when she said my name. For the first time, revenge didn't feel like victory. It felt like loss, all over again. The next morning, she didn't come to work. Her apartment was empty, her phone disconnected. She vanished. A week later, a letter arrived at my office. No return address, just my name. I understand now. I can't undo what they did, but I'll make it right in my own way. Please don't come looking for me. You deserve peace, Lily, more than I ever did. Miley. I folded the letter, heart pounding. She'd left, but this time it was her choice, and somehow that hurt even more. I thought that was the end, but revenge has a way of circling back, especially when the truth isn't finished speaking. Because 3 months later, a news alert lit up my phone. Novatech CEO's twin sister found dead in a hotel room, foul play suspected. My world went silent. I stared at her picture on the screen. Same face, same eyes. The sister I'd loved, hated, envied was gone. But the more I read, the less sense it made. There were bruises, a fake suicide note, missing files from my company. Someone wanted her dead. And maybe they wanted me next.
They said it was suicide. That's what the police report claimed. Self-inflicted, no foul play suspected. But I knew my sister, and Millie would never go out like that. The moment I saw her name in the headline, the world blurred. My hands shook as I grabbed my phone, calling every number she'd ever used. Straight to voicemail. Her last message to me replayed in my head, "Please don't come looking for me." I looked anyway. Within hours, I was in Boston, standing in front of the hotel where they said she died, the Ridgeview, an upscale chain known for corporate conferences and quiet deaths no one questions. The lobby smelled like polished marble and denial. I showed my credentials, Lily Carter, Novatech CEO, and demanded access to the suite. Money makes doors open faster than grief ever could. The manager hesitated. "Miss Carter, the police already cleared." I cut him off. "Then consider this a private audit." The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened, I stepped into the suite where her life had ended. It was spotless. Too spotless. No signs of struggle, no chaos, just hotel perfection. Except for one thing. A faint coffee ring on the desk. Millie didn't drink coffee. I did. Something about that ring made my stomach turn. On the nightstand sat a folded piece of paper, the so-called suicide note. It read like a bad script. I can't live with my mistakes. I've hurt too many people. Signed, Millie Henderson. Her handwriting, but off. The M slanted left. Millie's always slanted right. I knew then. Someone wanted me to believe it. The police were useless, so I went to the only person who might still care. Detective Warren Briggs, an old family contact who owed me a favor. He was gruff, skeptical, but when I showed him the letter, his eyes narrowed. Forgery, maybe, or coercion, but why fake it? That's what I need to find out. He promised to dig quietly. I didn't trust promises, but I had no one else. That night, I returned to Novatech. The office was empty, city lights reflecting off the glass walls. I walked to my desk and froze. Someone had been there. My computer screen glowed faintly, files open. The ones marked Henderson Holdings Acquisition. I scrolled. The transfer documents, gone. The contracts I'd made their parents sign, deleted. Even the hidden memo proving they'd sold Millie's identity for adoption money, wiped clean. And in the trash folder, one file remained. LC_2.0. I clicked. It wasn't a document. It was a video. The footage showed Millie in a dark room looking straight into the camera. Her voice shook. If you're watching this, Lily, I was right. They never loved us. They used us. She swallowed. It wasn't just adoption. It was an experiment. My blood ran cold. She continued. There were records. Henderson Biotech. They were working with Novatech before your takeover, testing on children, twins specifically, genetic pairing for neurological mapping. Her lip trembled. We were part of that trial. I found the data, but they're watching me. If anything happens, don't trust anyone, not even your board. Then, static. I sat there in silence, heartbeat echoing in my ears. The Hendersons hadn't just chosen her, they'd sold me, sold us. Suddenly, the office lights flickered. Then, darkness. A voice came from the shadows. You should have stayed away, Lily. I spun around. Standing by the glass wall was Daniel Pierce, my CFO. Slick suit, calm eyes, the kind of man who could smile while burying a body. You knew, I said sharply. He didn't deny it. Novatech was built on those trials, Lily. The Hendersons started it. Your funding perfected it. You inherited more than you realize. Don't, I snapped. You think you can rewrite my past like a report? He stepped closer. Your sister found out too much. She tried to expose it. We gave her a choice. Disappear quietly or take the fall. I felt my world tilt. You killed her. He smirked. You killed her by forcing her back into our world. Before I could react, he pressed a button on his phone. My computer screen lit up again. Security footage from Millie's hotel room. It showed two figures. One, unequivocally Millie. The other, me. My blood went cold. It wasn't me, but it looked like me. Same face, same hair. I stared at the screen. What is that? Insurance, he said. Deepfake AI. Enough to make anyone believe you were there. You're the perfect scapegoat, Lily. A twin who rose too high. The room spun. Why me? Because you were never supposed to survive. That's when I realized it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was survival. I lunged for the desk drawer where I kept my personal drive. He grabbed my wrist. We struggled. His phone fell, shattering on the floor. I slammed his arm into the desk, grabbed the drive, and ran. The alarms went off instantly. Red lights flashed. I sprinted down the hallway, heels echoing like gunshots. Security shouted behind me. I made it to the garage. My car roared to life, tires screeching out of the building. The rain poured again, just like that night when they took Millie. I drove until the city lights vanished, until my reflection blurred in the windshield. When I finally stopped, I was at the old orphanage, our first home. It was abandoned now, vines crawling up broken walls. I pushed open the door, the smell of dust and memory hitting me at once. Inside, I found an old locker with the faded label, Carter Twins. Inside was a box, and inside that box were hospital files, birth records, and another bracelet. Mine. But here's the twist. The name on it wasn't Lily. It was Millie. I stared.
disbelief flooding me. Had they switched us? Was I the one who had been adopted and they left her behind thinking she was me? Everything I knew, every scar, every motive, flipped. Suddenly, nothing felt real. A floorboard creaked. I turned and froze. Standing in the doorway was a woman. Wet hair, pale skin, eyes I knew too well. "Millie?" I whispered. She smiled, slow, sad, alive. "Surprised?" she said. My knees almost buckled. "You're dead. I saw the reports." "Reports lie," she said quietly, "especially when Daniel Pierce writes them." I stumbled closer. "Why? Why fake it?" "To protect you." She stepped into the light. "They wanted one of us gone. To close the loop. I made them think it was me. They'll come for you next, but we can end this together." My chest tightened. "How?" She opened a folder she carried, full of hard drives, photos, and signed documents. Evidence. Every experiment, every payment. Enough to burn them all. Her voice cracked. "But you have to choose. Save your company or save the truth." For the first time, I didn't know what to do. The empire I built was the only thing that made my pain make sense. But this was bigger. I reached for the folder, then we finished what they started. Together. She smiled faintly. "Finally, you sound like my sister." We worked through the night setting everything up. Backups, encrypted files, scheduled leaks. At dawn, we uploaded it all to multiple press outlets. The story would break at noon. By 8 a.m., I got the call. "Daniel Pierce again. Congratulations, you've just destroyed your legacy." "No," I replied. "I freed it." He laughed. "You think this ends with a few headlines? You have no idea what you've unleashed." Then the line went dead. That afternoon, Novatech stock crashed. Government agencies raided Henderson Biotech. My name trended worldwide. Twin CEO exposes human experiment scandal. For a moment, I felt relief. Until I realized Millie was gone again. Her phone? Off. Her apartment? Empty. All she left was a note on my desk. "We burned the world, Lily. Now go live in it." I smiled through tears. You always had the last word, didn't you? But this time, I didn't chase her. Because maybe some endings aren't about finding someone. They're about finding yourself. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the twin who was left behind. Maybe I was the one who survived.
If you enjoyed watching this story, we would truly appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to create more emotional and inspiring stories for you.